Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about teaching you how to create print-on-demand designs that sell. And as a bonus, if you stay tuned till the end of the video, I have 5 more evergreen niches that you guys can be working on right now. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you guys can create this New Year's design right here. And I am going to talk a bit about New Year's designs and the different styles and niches you can do. This one features a clipping mask, which I am going to show you guys how to do. So if this is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. And remember, stick around till the end of the video. And I have a list of 5 evergreen niches that are selling and are always selling that you guys can be working on. So here we are on Canva's homepage. I am going to be designing for a t-shirt today. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead and go over to the right-hand side of the page. I'm going to be selecting custom size, and we will be selecting 4500 by 5400 pixels. As I mentioned in an earlier video, if you are printing this on a standard size shirt, that is more than enough to give you over 300 DPI if that is a concern. I do prefer to optimize my designs for the darker colors, as those do tend to sell best. So I usually select black as my background color unless I'm doing a very particular design for something else. In today's video, we are going to be doing a New Year's design. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can go with New Year's. And I mentioned in a past video that I just did on New Year's designs that you can either go broad Happy New Year and just leave off the year so that they can wear it year after year after year, and it can continue to sell year after year after year. You can be specific, Happy New Year 2025, which means you've got less competition because it's only this year, but it also means that you're more likely to get returns because they are likely to wear it once and then return it. You can be specific with your Happy New Year, so you can go ahead and say, Happy New Year, like Las Vegas, Happy New Year, New York, Happy New Year, London, and go ahead and select different locations. You can, instead of using happy, I showed you Howdy New Year, or Howdy 2025 is what I did, and get a little bit of a Western feel. So there are ways to do cross niching and still get a lot of very cool and unique New Year's designs. In today's video, we're going to be doing a kind of standard Happy New Year design with a clipping mask, and we're going to go ahead and use those top selling colors that you'll notice sell the best, and those are usually like the golds and the silvers and the fireworks, very traditional. I'm going to show you guys how you can do that. So the first thing we're going to do is just create our frame, which is going to be our words, Happy New Year. So I'm going to start by hitting T on the keyboard, and that's going to pull up my text box. And the first thing I'm going to type is happy. And I'm going to do these all on different lines. So then I'm going to hit another T, and this is going to say new. And then one more T, and it's going to say year. And I'm going to go ahead and do an exclamation point. So Happy New Year. And we're going to go ahead, we're going to make these nice and big on the page so that I can see them. Okay. Perfect. I'm thinking I want to go ahead and do this in all caps. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this button here with the big A and the little a. It says uppercase, and that can make it all uppercase. There we go. So now I've got Happy New Year. So now what I'm looking for is to select a font now, and I want that font to be something that's big and bold, but also somewhat narrow so I can make it really big. I want this to stand out and to pretty much cover almost the whole page. So I did look around for a while, but if you go up to your fonts here and you can do searches, you can search for narrow or you could search for bold. So different terms you could use. I think either one of those would work. So if I searched for bold, it's going to give me a list of different bold fonts, and some of them are narrow and some of them aren't. And so you can go ahead and scroll through and see what some of them will look like. This is the one that I did choose, and I liked it because it came in 3 different sizes. So I've got the condensed, the regular, and the semi-condensed. I actually think that there's another one. There's a ultra condensed, and then this one is a wide. So I've got lots of different options with the same font, and it's a nice bold one. So I can never pronounce these. Bernau, I don't know. But that's the one that I decided to go with. And the cool thing here is because happy is a much longer word than, let's say, new, I can go ahead and do happy in the condensed and new maybe in the semi-condensed, for example, and then back to year, again into the condensed. And then what I can do to make them look a little bit closer to the same size here, right, would be to obviously make this a little bit bigger, this a little bit smaller. I can also play with the spacing too. So if I wanted to take this one, the middle new, and go up to spacing where you got the line up and down, I can go ahead and take that letter spacing out just a little bit. And so by spacing it out just a little bit, it again makes it look more like it fits. So let's go ahead and start with happy and see what size we can get. So right now it is 1122. And then year, if I go ahead and bring that out, that's quite a bit bigger. That's going to be over 1300. They don't have to be all the exact same sizes, but I want them to look relatively close together. Obviously, I've got the new here. And again, it doesn't have to be the exact same width. New is a shorter word, so I can make it a little bit smaller so we can see the different sizes here. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and center these in the page. That way they're just centered with one another, and make sure that they're spaced, well in the page, and that they're spaced even with one another. So something like that looks pretty good. And so that's big. So that's a big, bold, Happy New Year. Takes up the whole screen, looks really great. Now what I'm going to do is actually group these together. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to drag over all of them. So what I did was I left clicked out in the corner and just drug over everything. And then what I can do is go over to this little pop-up where it says group. And now it is all grouped together. So I can move it, resize it however I want. So if I wanted it a little smaller, it's now going to keep those proportions for me. So I don't have to go through and resize all of them. So once I get the proportions the way I want it, that's an easy way to play with it. I also wanted to go at a little bit of an angle, and I was thinking maybe about a 4-degree angle, something like that. And so I'm liking the way that that looks in the page. And again, I try to center that in the page as best as possible there. And this is going to be my frame. And so when you do a frame, it doesn't matter what color it is because we're going to put a mask over it. So you're just looking at pretty much the silhouette or the outside shape of it. And you can do this with graphics, or you can do this with, text. You can do it with graphics and text. So all you need is sort of that overall shape, and we can put a mask on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just title this up here, Happy New Year Frame. Okay. And we'll go over to the right-hand corner of the page where it says share. And from there, we're going to go down to download. This is a PNG, and we do want a transparent background. And then we can go ahead and just hit download. Okay. This is actually a pretty fast and easy design if you're familiar with these steps. So the next step would be to go over to Photopea. If you've seen my videos before, I use Photopea a lot for clipping masks. If you haven't seen it, Photopea is great because it is absolutely free. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to create an account. You don't need to do anything but go to your browser, type photopea.com into your browser, or do a search for Photopea, and it will open up and it'll look like this. And then all you need to do is push this button right in the middle. It'll say open from computer. That's going to pull up your downloads. And then from there, you can go ahead and select your frame. And it will open up your frame right there in the middle of the page. Okay, now we need a mask. So if I was to go back over to Canva, let's go ahead and find a mask. Now I don't want to move any of this because I like to know where things line up. But I am going to go up to elements on the left-hand side of the page. And we're going to look for a mask that might be cool. When we're doing masks on text, it's usually better if it's not too busy because you do want it to still be pretty readable, and you don't want to have super variations necessarily in colors. Again, you want to make sure that the text is still very readable. Now, because it's New Year's, we're going with sort of those silver gold tones. So I'm looking more for something that's more of like a gold backgrounds. And I'm going to go ahead and search there. And now we can search photos and we can search graphics. We can look through both of those and see what we like that might look good. So if I was to go to photos, we can see some of these different ones here. Because I'm doing this on a dark shirt or a dark background, something that has the black in it would show up well. I do want it to be relatively light. Something like this looks cool. It might be a little bit washed out, and again, that black might get kind of buried in the background. So I want something that's a little bit more solid. I have seen a lot of the gold clipping masks, and those do look really nice, as long as the customer realizes that it's not actually going to be glitter. So if you do any of the glitter masks, be sure never to use the word glitter in your listing. It will not print with glitter. If you've wondered that, it will just be regular print, but it will be like the different colors, dots to give the illusion of glitter. It still does look good, but it can be disappointing if they think that it's going to be glitter. So just keep that in mind if you want to do that. But all sorts of different fun ones. Like here's like kind of a cool one with the waves. That might actually make for a cool mask right there, because you're going to get a little bit of texture and waves going through the words, and we get a little bit of variation in color. So that's a good option right there, actually. But I can keep scrolling and looking if there's anything else that really pops out to me that I think is cool. Here's another one that's a lot of different movement in here. That might be a little bit too much. And then of course I can check graphics as well. And there's lots of just regular gold graphics. Now what I like, if I was going to do something like this, is it's not just flat, because I could just select a font color and just make it a flat gold color, but it looks flat. By doing the mask that just has the little variations in color, it really makes it look a lot like better, like it's actually gold and not just flat. And so I do like to have those little variations with the mask. Here's another one that could look cool because it's got the different variations in color there. So lots of awesome, options here. So after looking for a while, I actually decided on this one here. I really liked the different shades and the waves. And there's different ways that we can go about doing this. For starters, I really don't want this dark part. So that's cool. That doesn't actually need to be part of the mask. I can keep it more in this light area. Now I can try to make it go across this way. So I've got the waves going a little bit more horizontal, or I could rotate the whole thing up vertical, right? And I could have the waves going vertical. So you can do it any way you like, and you just want to go ahead and try to cover up all of the words. If you want to see where everything's going to line up, we can go up to this box up here that looks like a bunch of checkers or checkerboard. It's transparency. Hit that. If you bring the transparency down, you should now be able to see your words underneath. And so now you can see where those lines are going to go through your words and where you're going to get sort of those variations in color. And so that can help you know where maybe you want to line things up, if you want certain lines in certain places, for example. And so that can help, or if you wanted to rotate it and see maybe what it might look like if I've got like the lines maybe going more straight through the word like that. And actually going through the word might look kind of cool because we don't get any of those breaks when we do it this way that we would get vertical. So actually maybe if I did something like that, I actually kind of like the way those lines are going through the words there. So I might go ahead and stick with this orientation. Anyways, once you get it covered and you have it the way that you like it, we would go ahead then and get rid of the transparency. There we go. Okay, I like that. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get rid of the transparency, and now I have my mask. And so up here, I'm going to kind of just retitle it. It says Happy New Year frame. I'm going to make it say mask instead. And then we're going to go ahead, do the same thing, share, download. It's a PNG. For a mask, it doesn't need to be a transparent background or not, because you're just going to mask your frame. So I can leave it as is, and I can hit download. And now what we're going to do is jump right back over to Photopea, and we're going to go ahead and put the mask on the frame, which is pretty easy to do. So I'm back on Photopea here. I've got my frame already up. And now all I have to do is go over to the left-hand side where it says File. 3 spaces down, it'll say Open in Place. If you click that, it will pull up your downloads again, and now you can select the mask that you just made, and that will load it onto the page. And now here's what your page should look like. I've had people get stuck on this step before. You want your mask to be on top. So at this point, you should only be able to see your mask. If you come over to the right, you'll see these 2 layers here. So the background layer, that's your frame. And then the mask layer is on top. That's what you want it to look like. If you have it like that, but let's say I had the back highlighted instead of the top highlighted, and you can see how that sort of changes between a light gray. So if the background's highlighted, the clipping mask won't work. So if you've tried it and you say, I don't know why it doesn't work, make sure you have your mask highlighted and make sure the mask is again on the top. If the mask was on the bottom, it would look like that, and that wouldn't work either. So it should automatically be in the right spot for you, but for anybody who's had problems with this in the past, just make sure your mask is on the top and it is the one highlighted. And then I have never had any issues at all. You would just go to the top part of the page, find the tab that says layer, click that, and then about halfway down, you'll see something that says clipping mask. If you click that, it will automatically put your clipping mask right on top of your frame, and there you go. It was really that quick and that easy. So it's only a couple of clicks. Really, you just open in place and then clipping mask, and it's ready to be exported. So super fast, super easy, super free. By the way, you're going to go over to File now to export, and about halfway down, it'll say Export As, and you're going to go ahead and select a PNG. Now, after a couple seconds, it's going to pull up a box for you, and it's going to have your design in here. It's obviously blown up, but that's okay. Here is where we can retitle it here. So it says Happy New Year. And right now it's titled as the frame, but I can go ahead and change that and put Happy New Year and just put like gold or something so I can differentiate it. It's set as a PNG. It's going to keep the same dimensions. So you still have your 4500 by 5400 pixels. So really all you have to do is change the name and hit save. And then it is done, and you can go right back over to Canva. So it really, that step should only take you a matter of seconds to upload, hit clipping mask, and export. Those are the only 3 steps, and it should be super fast, super easy, super free. There are lots of different other roundabout ways that people could go ahead and do clipping masks, but that is, for me, the absolute fastest, easiest, most convenient way I have found. So that is how I choose to do it. And now that I have that ready, I can get rid of this, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and make another page down here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload what I just downloaded from Photopea. So to do that, I would go over to the left-hand side where you see the tabs that says upload. Go ahead, click that, and then you can go ahead and hit upload files. It'll pull up your downloads, and then you can go ahead and download what you just made. So here it is. So here's what I just made. I'm going to go ahead and crop it in just a little bit. And I'm going to make it nice and big in the page right there, okay? So now what I want to do to make sure it really stands out is I do want to put a couple outlines around it. The first outline is going to be sort of a gold outline so that you've got sharp edges where you see all those dark spots. And then there's going to be a black outline around that. And the reason for that is I'm going to put some fireworks in the background, and I really want to make sure this pops on the fireworks. And so there's a couple of ways that I can do this. The easiest way to layer outlines, since they got rid of the multi-layering that I used to be able to do, now I have to do it in more of a roundabout way, is to create a duplicate copy. So I hit Control D, and now I have 2 copies of the same thing. And so I'm just going to pull one a little bit out of the way. So with the back copy, I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit, go to Shadows, go to Outline, and we're going to make sure it's a black outline. So it is black, and then we can adjust the size, and it's going to be a relatively thick outline. Oh, I can't really see it because my background color is black, so I'm going to go ahead real quick, change the background color here to more of a dark gray. And now I can see how thick that is. That's maybe a little thicker than I'd like, so I can go back to Edit, back to Shadows, and maybe make it a little bit thinner. But I still want it to be relatively thick because this is my outer outline, and I'm going to have a more narrow gold outline in front of it. So right now it's at a 22, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so that was my back layer. Now I'm going to take my front layer, and I can line my front layer right up on top of it. So if I was to do that somewhere in there, right, I can line it up better later. But for now, I just want to take the front layer, hit Edit. Now we're going to put a shadow on the front layer. So we're going to do the same thing, outline. Only this time I don't want black. This time I want more of that golder color. Now this won't let me do the eyedrop feature, so I'm gonna have to kind of look at it and determine what gold I want by eye. And for this one, I want the size to be a lot smaller. So the black outline was at a 22. Right now, this is a 10, so you can see it's a much thinner outline. And so I do want it to be pretty thin. I'm thinking I might want this to be a little bit more in sort of the golder shades, maybe a little bit. I'm just kind of eyeballing this now to see what looks good for my gold. So let's just say that looks pretty good. So I'm going to do that. And now what I want to do is just make sure that this one is right over the center of this one. So what you're going to get is a little bit of an outline. Now I'm going to make that top one a little bit smaller than the bottom one. Okay. And I'm going to start using the arrows on my keyboards here to line that up the way I want it. And so something there, it looks pretty good. So if I was to zoom in a little bit closer, what we've got is a little bit of a black shadow around the words, which otherwise have a little bit of a gold shadow. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. Now, because they're slightly different sizes and whatnot, I'm not going to get a perfect, outline, but that is okay. The black is just there to make sure that you can see the words over the fireworks that I'm going to put behind it. Otherwise, the black would just disappear onto a black shirt anyways, and you wouldn't even see it. So that is all I needed the shadow for, is just to get that little bit of black so that it'll pop against what's otherwise going to be some fireworks in the background. So assuming I have those both the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and group them together. That way I don't mess any of that up. So it's grouped. And now that I have that, I can start putting some fireworks back here. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand side of the page where it says elements. Click there. Let me get out of my recently used. I'm going to search, and now I'm searching for fireworks. And I'm going to go ahead and select graphics. And there's a lot of cool fireworks that you can use, and you can start playing with different ones. If I can change the color, that's great. This one's really cool. It's got that nice look to it. I don't want it to be too blurry, but it does have sort of that dotted look in different shades. So that might be a cool firework. And I'm just going to start putting, a few fireworks here and there. If you want to duplicate anyone, you can put Control D and duplicate it. So maybe put one here, keep that one maybe up here. Let's look for some other ones that might look cool. Here's a grouping of 3. This one looks like more of a gold glitter, but again, I'm getting sort of that, I guess, texture. So I'm getting different dimensions in there. And so that kind of looks cool. And there's magic recommendations that pop up. I can take a look at some of those to see if any of those look cool. Like here's a giant grouping of a bunch of them that might look fun just sort of in the backgrounds. If I wanted to do it like that. Now I'm going to put all of these behind the words. Right now I'm just throwing some different ones up to get some different ideas of what might look good. And we can see that a lot of these are sort of that gold color. You can get some overlapping or big ones, little ones, doesn't matter. So something like that looks kind of cool. I can again hit Control D if I wanted to duplicate it. And I could put it up in the top corner if I wanted to, or maybe over this one so I get an overlap on that one. Any of that is going to look kind of cool. So far, none of these have let me change the colors. If I can change the colors, I do want to get some silver ones in there too. But right now I'm just sort of looking at these to see which ones might look cool, and I can always kind of edit them or play with them later if I don't like the way that they look. That one's kind of cool because I'm getting, again, kind of that thin sort of thick different shapes here. Okay, So I think I have enough fireworks on the page here and some different shades of gold, and I managed to get a few little silver ones in there too. So overall, I like the way that those fireworks look. But now to get a whole idea of the design, what we're going to have to do is put all the fireworks in the back, and we're going to bring our Happy New Year to the front, change the background color to black, and that'll give us a better idea of what we're looking at. And of course, we can at that point determine sort of what we want to do. So all I have to do is just take a couple of these fireworks and send them to the back. I don't have to do all of them, because once I get enough to the back, I can just grab my Happy New Year, which is my whole page, and then I can go ahead and send that to the front. By the way, to send to the front, you're going to hit Control in your right bracket, and that'll send it to the front layer by layer. So you can just keep hitting it until it's all the way to the front. You can do the same thing to go to the back. It would be Control in your left bracket, and you can send things to the back one layer at a time that way. And so now I have my Happy New Year in the front. I'm going to make Happy New Year really big so that it super pops. And so we can see the way that that is looking. Make sure it looks kind of centered, maybe up a little higher in the page. And then if I can get that page color a nice black, so we can really see how that looks. There is our design. Happy New Year. And it really, looks like it pops. And now we can see that little subtle black outline around the happy and the new year and everything, just so that we get some separation from the fireworks. So that was really the only reason that was there, was to get some separation from the fireworks. Otherwise, that looks pretty awesome. I like it. There is, quite a bit of variation in color. I might have chosen something that maybe was a little bit more subtle, because some of these stripes are a little bit more contrasty than I'd like, but that's okay. I can also take this, by the way, once I have it where I want it, ungroup it, take the top one, go to Edit, and if I want to, I could go to my filters and see how different filters would look. So right now it's, nice and goldy. I could make it, if I wanted to, more of a bronzy color, or I guess that's more of a really bright yellowy color. There would be more of a bronzy color. Stark, that's just yellow. That's really bright. So you can see I can do it a little bit softer there. I can do vintage. I don't think I would really want that, but the point is I can go through different shades here if I wanted to. I could even do something really trippy like that. And so you can see how you can get those really cool effects. And I don't think I would do that for this design, but that is one way to get sort of really cool layers, is to just do something more striped and then do it more of like a color pop on it. And that can be really cool too. But you've got lots of different ways that you can go ahead and just sort of edit the shade. That one's a little flat. Yeah. That one's a little yellowy. That one's pretty flat. That one's more champagne-ish, right? That's more yellowish, right? And so you can go ahead and play with different things to see what it looks like. I can also, by the way, go back to none. That's how it is originally. Go to adjust and adjust things individually. So if I wanted it to be a little bit brighter overall, right, I can do something like that to make it really brighter overall. I could make it really dark overall, right? I can, play with the contrast, so I can really up that contrast, or I can kind of try to drop that contrast, so maybe it's not quite as contrasty, but I feel like I'm losing a lot of the color there, so I don't necessarily want to do that. I can also go ahead, change the vibrance and the saturation here, so make it again really vibrant, or maybe a little less vibrant, and that actually kind of looks cool. Too vibrant and it's too bright on the fireworks. A little less vibrant, it's matching the fireworks a little bit better. So it depends how you want to do that. And I can also, again, play with the saturation, very yellow, or more like black and white. So I definitely want something there. So anyways, you can always play with that, see, however you like it. Once you have it the way that you want it, again, now that I have 2 pages, I can title each page individually. So this was the frame. And then here is where I would do my final, version. And this would be Happy New Year. And I can just put, let's say, gold fireworks. There we go. And so there it is. And it's ready to go. So I can go to share, download, transparent backgrounds. It's a PNG. I only want page 2. So whenever we have multiple pages, I can just do page 2 and I can hit done and download. And I can do multiple versions of this. I could keep adding pages and trying out different masks. And so I can do a lot of different versions of this. I could also go ahead and add to it Happy New Year and then put the year, or Happy New Year and then put a location. So lots of different ways I could play with this. I went with the traditional gold and silver colors, but there would be nothing stopping you from going with more of the rainbow colors like you would see in like fireworks. So I've seen ones that have a lot more, bright, vivid colors to them. Lots of ways that you could do this. We could put a party hat in here, noisemaker, So, you can go wild. Lots and lots of different ways that you can do Happy New Year designs. You would want to start getting those up right away. So if you do plan on doing it, now would be the time to work on it and get it up so that it's, up in time for people to buy it. Again, if you do something like this and it doesn't sell this year because it doesn't have a year on it, it could sell next year. It could sell the following year. Sometimes things do take a while before they pick up steam. I mentioned in one of my other videos that one of my top sellers really didn't start selling until after it had already been up for over a year. And so that's just part of business. This is a long-term game, not a short-term gain. And as you continue to grow and develop your portfolio and you have more works up, you'll start gradually, increasing your sales and gradually increasing your income. So don't be frustrated. Just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. If you have any questions, drop that in the comments section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. I do read all the comments, and thank you so much for all of your kind words. If you have any video requests or anything that you would like to see, you can also put that in the comment section below. I am trying to grow a community here, and I've got some, more exciting things planned in the future. I have a Facebook page, and I'll have a link in the description below. I also have a link in the description below for the Photopea. So if you want to go ahead and join that so you guys can communicate with one another, that is available to you. And I'm going to start soon putting up a free list for you guys of free evergreen and free seasonal niches for the whole year. So that is in the works. So stay tuned. And as promised, since you guys were so patient and waited until the end of the video, I do have a bonus 5 niches that are selling right now. These are funny evergreens, which means if you make them, they can sell now, they can sell 5 years from now. And so it's always great to have a good list of some of those more text-based ones as well. So without any more waiting, I have number 1, my dog thinks I'm cool. Number 2, my mom thinks I'm special. Number 3, please don't make me do stuff. 4, hang in there, it gets worse. And 5, feeling kinda, you know what that is-ish today. So, again, I hope you guys can start working on these this week and just come up with some really cool designs to incorporate to these niches. And I do hope to see you guys again. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.